Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Lauren Abner, and I'm the Technology Consultant here at the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives. Welcome to Girls Who Code, launching a GWC Club at your library. Really pleased this morning that we have two guests to talk about Girls Who Code clubs. You'll be hearing from Hannah Simon Goldman. She's the Regional Partnership Coordinator for Girls Who Code. And then after her presentation, we'll hear directly from one of the Girls Who Code Club libraries here in Kentucky, Shantel Richardson from Jessamine County Public Library, who is the STEM education specialist. We'll talk about getting her library's club off the ground earlier this year. So I'm really excited to hear directly from them because I know you guys like to have an example of how other libraries have moved forward with their projects, so you can consider how you might move forward. And I think we also have some other Girls Who Code Club libraries attending the webinar today. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and identify yourself in the chat, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. You can type in questions as they occur to you. Hannah will be most likely addressing those at the end of her presentation before we move over to Chantelle, just so you know, but I'll be trying to keep track of that. If you have any audio issues or other technical problems, please type in the chat and I will be available to help. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Hannah and mute myself, and she can get started. Good morning, Hannah.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here today to share out about our partnership and about our clubs with you all. If you have any questions as I'm going, please feel free to type into the chat. Let me know if you can't hear me or anything like that as we get going. I'm a regional partnership coordinator, so I work with clubs across Kentucky in schools as well as libraries and other nonprofit spaces. There we go. So this is what I'll cover today. I'll do a quick sort of high-level overview of what we do at Girls Who Code and who we are, and then I'll jump in and get to the good stuff about clubs. We have a 3rd through 5th grade curriculum, and we have a 6th through 12th grade curriculum, so I'll go over the differences between those and what those look like, talk about the impact of our clubs, and then tell you what you need to know to launch a club through the KDLA partnership. So, we make it pretty easy to get started. We try to make it as easy as possible for you. So I'll let you know the steps that will be involved there and the resources that we will provide to you in order to help you get started. And then you'll get to hear from Chantelle, which will be a real treat, superstar facilitator, so really excited about that as well. This is a video. I wanted to include it. We're not going to spend the time to watch it together, but when you get the slide deck, I wanted to let you take a minute and look it over. It's like 3 minutes long. It's just a really great example of the impact that clubs can have on girls and on communities. I also wanted to include it. It's a video we use for national, outreach, but it is filmed just up in an Ohio library. So I like to especially bring it up when we're talking with library systems as well. So you can check that out afterwards. So just briefly, we are here at this webinar, which means that you have some idea that, STEM skills are really, really important, right? They're only growing in importance today for today's girls. But fewer and fewer women are taking advantage of these job opportunities. So we decided, let's try to help fix that, right? Let's try to get girls excited about STEM. So we are trying to close the gender gap in technology. We're hoping to do that by inspiring and equipping girls with the skills they need to pursue these opportunities. So the hard skills, right, the coding, the computer science, but also those softer skills, right, bravery, resilience, community. So I will get into what that means in our clubs program. So our clubs program is what we're here to talk about. It's our largest program that we do. We basically want to provide this safe and brave space for girls to get excited about computer science, to gain experience and grow their skills as well, and to figure out that computer science is a powerful tool to do things that they really care about as well. So our clubs are led by facilitators. I'll spend some more time going into how we support facilitators. But the important thing for you to know is that they can be any supportive adult in the community. So they could be a librarian or a staff member, but they could also be a local parent, a college student, really any adult in the community. They do not need to have any computer science experience. They can learn alongside the girls. It's actually a really great opportunity to do what we call learning to be brave, not perfect. Our founder, Reshma Saujani, has a great TED Talk about that if you're interested, but a great way to model trying something new and taking a risk because you're interested and because you want to help the girls take a risk as well. So I'll talk for a moment about our 6th through 12th grade clubs. So our 6th through 12th grade clubs, like all of our clubs programs, are free. So there is no cost associated to anything with any of our clubs programs. That's important. There is no cost. There will never be a cost. We don't want your credit card. You know, it's all provided to you for free. So in the 6th through 12th grade club, they engage in online tutorials and activity sets to learn about code, and then they also build community with each other through these interactive activities. Each club has a Women in Tech Spotlight where they spend time learning about really inspiring role models, all the way back from Ada Lovelace, who sort of invented computer programming back in the day, up to cool women in art and science and all different fields these days who are using computer science to help get there. During each session, the girls work together on this project, this Girls Who Code project, which is where they figure out, okay, you know, we have this issue that we really care about in our community, and this is how we can build a website or an app or a game, something to address that issue through code. And that's all housed, all of the curriculum and all of their projects will be housed through our online platform, Girls Who Code HQ. Logistics-wise, most of our clubs meet for 1 or 2 hours per week after school for about 10 to 15 plus sessions, but we want to be as flexible as possible because we know that you know your community and your girls better than we do. So if you think, well, we actually want to meet 2 or 3 times a week for a shorter amount of time, or we want to meet once every 2 weeks, that's fine. As long as you have enough time to get through the curriculum, we're happy to have you get through it however you want. We have suggested lesson guides, but we also have customizable templates. So you can set the agendas however you think will work best for your girls. And I know I'm going through a lot of information pretty quick, so yes, if you have questions, please feel free to stick them in the chat box, and I'll get to them at the end, if not during. Yeah, so let me talk a little bit more, now that I've done some logistics, about the curriculum and the club model for 6th through 12th grade. So these are the 3 main sort of pillars of our 6th through 12th grade clubs. The first one is sisterhood, right? So it's really important that girls realize, oh yeah, like, you know, when I think of a computer programmer, I didn't used to think of a 14-year-old girl, but now I do because I see that, you know, all of my friends are into this, and there's this broader community of thousands of girls and tens of thousands of girls across the United States who are also Girls Who Code. So the sisterhood piece is really important to us, and that's an important part of all of the clubs and all of the projects as well. The coding is, of course, also very important to us. So while they are brainstorming and designing and building their project, they'll be learning these key computer science concepts along the way in order to do that. So they'll gain the coding skills through our third pillar, impact, right? So they'll see, oh yeah, so it's not just that my teachers say I should learn how to code, it's that learning how to code allows me to do all of these things that are really awesome. You know, I made a website that's going to help my community, or I made a game that's really fun, you know, and that raises awareness about this issue, that sort of thing. So those are how the 3 sort of main pillars tie together for our 3rd through 6th grade clubs. Example-wise, for these projects, these are just a couple of examples that girls at this level have done. So water well was one. The girls were really passionate about water conservation, so they created a website where you can track and analyze your water usage patterns, and then they provided simple steps you could take to reduce your water usage, because that was really important to them. Pillar was a project created by girls. They were passionate about mental health, so they wanted to create an app for teenagers and adults to have a supportive and anonymous community where they could give advice and feel supported by people around them. So those are just two examples of creations that girls have done. You know, based on the skill level or the interests of students, the projects are going to differ wildly. It's really only constrained by their creativity. So we see projects running the gamut, and Chantelle will be able to share with you as well some of those great projects that her girls were doing. I'll also now talk about 3rd through 5th grade clubs. So they have a little bit of a different program model. They're still free. That's the first important part. These ones are based around our nonfiction book, Learn to Code and Change the World. So those books are provided to the clubs for free as well. So clubs, once you enroll students, will get at least 5 books, and then there's the opportunity to get more books as you enroll more students. So we really want to make sure you have everything you need. These clubs tend to meet for shorter amounts of time, a half hour to an hour, once a week, and then for maybe 5 to 10 meetings per school year. Though again, you are always welcome to, you know, adjust based on what you think your girls would be excited about and what you think they would get into. So for the 3rd through 5th grade clubs, these are the 3 components that we talk about. So the books, right? So the clubs start off sort of like a book group where we will have reading from one of the chapters, followed by a discussion. We have discussion guides on our website that facilitators are welcome to use or draw from, and those are going to talk about both the coding and the computational thinking and the logical thinking that was talked about in that chapter, but also, you know, the bravery and the perseverance and the friendship struggles that were talked about in that chapter as well. And then after that discussion, they will work on a creative challenge. So this is where we sort of have 2 paths for 3rd through 5th grade. We have a plugged in and an unplugged path. So we have a plugged in path where girls would get on the computer using Scratch or some other sort of simple block-based code to do these activities and these challenges, but we also have an unplugged version. So if you don't have, you know, reliable Wi-Fi or available computers, or you just think that the girls would, you know, appreciate it more, we do have offline challenges. It might seem a little counterintuitive, but there are really great ways to get girls excited about programming and coding using a pencil and paper, like in the good old days. So I can talk more about that if you have questions about that as well. As I also mentioned, bravery and resilience, really important, especially for this age group, to tell them, yeah, coding is a good thing, right? And that it's okay if you make mistakes, because we're all going to make some mistakes, and we'll work through it together, and we'll problem solve together, right? And of course, the computer science, getting them excited, getting them to figure out, you know, this is what computer science is, and I can do it, right? This is something that I can do. So in terms of impact, we're seeing that these clubs are really, they're working. In 2017, we launched over 3,000 clubs across the United States in all 50 states. So to date, we've reached over 90,000 girls. To put that number in perspective, only about 10,000 girls or young women graduate with computer science degrees every year in the United States. So we're really excited to help create this pipeline to those opportunities. And as you can see, our college-age alumni are really majoring in computer science and related fields at 15 or 16 times the national average, which is great, and which we're so glad to hear and to see now that some of our middle school and high school girls are getting past graduation and beyond. So that's where you all come in to help grow this number and help grow the number of opportunities. We try to make it really easy to get started. We have our little easy as 1, 2, 3. What you need, space, you know, in your library or really in any nonprofit. If you have a 3rd through 5th grade club, you'll need copies of the nonfiction books, which we will provide to you for free. If you're having a 6th through 12th grade club, you'll need computers and internet access. Chromebooks are fine, laptops, desktops are fine. We do say no tablets and no phones just because our content is browser-based, and yeah, and it's not created for those platforms, but we can talk about if you're having trouble with that. And then the last thing you need is that facilitator who will be responsible for leading the club, and again, can be any adult in the community. So facilitators are really important to our clubs, so we spend a lot of time working on how we can best support you. So the first thing is that all facilitators will go through a custom online training, so that will help you basically all the steps you need to get to your launch day for your club. You also will have access to Girls Who Code HQ, so that's our online platform. That houses the curriculum, the customizable lesson guides, tips and strategies for your club, as well as resources for recruitment. You know, we want girls to sign up for your club, definitely, and more. There's tutorials if you want to work on your own computer science skills and things like that. We also know that support, you know, on our end is good, but you also want support from the community, so you'll get connected to our facilitator community with Girls Who Code, which is thousands of facilitators across the United States. So you can ask questions, you can talk through issues, you can share successes, all of those great things. Facilitators will also be provided with a club success specialist. So once your club gets approved, you are assigned one of these. They are experts on our curriculum and our program model. So if you have questions, big or small, your club success specialist will be available, you know, via email, via phone, via virtual chat to help you get what you need. So that's really important. The other way we support your club is through our grants, so our clubs fund grants. These are grants in the range of about $300 that you can apply for once your club is approved. Basically for anything that you can show us your club needs to be successful. So that can be as simple as snacks. If you just really need snacks for your girls if they're coming after school. It can be t-shirts. It can be going on a field trip or bringing in a speaker who charges a fee. It can be getting a drone if the girls want to be, you know, coding on a robot or some sort of, you know, 3D physical technology as well. So those grants are available to all clubs to apply for. And I can answer any questions about that as well. Okay. Uh-oh, yeah, sorry if the audio was bad there, but yeah, so $300 grants are what the clubs fund are, and yeah, so those are great, really good to support your club. So our community partners, that's why we're here, right? So we are really happy to be partnering with KDLA and really excited to grow our partnership. I have listed here some of the other partnerships that we have in the area. So we're working with the Department of Education in the school systems. We also are working with, I put in a bunch of regional library systems upstairs in Ohio that we're working with as well, just to sort of show you who else we're working with in the area. But there are some great benefits to being in a partnership, which is why we're here, taking up your time on a Tuesday. So as someone who launches a club in our partnership, you get these benefits. So you'll have dedicated points of contact. So you'll have a community partner manager. Our Midwest manager is Jackson Thomas. He's great. And then I am also here as a regional partnership coordinator through the recruitment season to provide updates and to help you with things that might happen while you're applying or while you're getting your club up and running. You will have this club success specialist, which is a position that has evolved this year. So a bit different from last year if you're someone who's renewing their club, but we're really excited about them. As I mentioned, you also get access to an extra form of grant. So in addition to our Clubs Fund grant, we have the Community Partner Fund, which is a reorganized way of partnership dollars for anyone who's returning as well. So a few times a year we'll check in, and once clubs partnerships reach the 5, 10, 15, etc. club mark for clubs that are enrolling students, they get access for $500 of funding. So that can be used, divided up among the clubs in the partnership, or it can be used for one big event. So maybe there wants to be a Kentucky Library Girls Who Code Day or something like that. That partner fund could help with that as well. And then you also get priority access to engagement opportunities. So if we bring a speaker to the area, or if we have a corporate partner hosting a field trip, we would let you know first, and your girls would get priority registration. And then we also provide our outreach toolkit for community partners, which is full of really good resources to help recruit facilitators as well as girls for the club, and yeah, to help you basically get things up and running. All right, so now that you are thoroughly convinced that you should start a club, we make it pretty easy to apply. The link is there for our application. It's like a 5 to 10 minute form probably. On the About Your Club page, it'll ask you if you're affiliated with a partnership and say yes, Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives, and that way we'll make sure you get in with the benefits. There is a list of the awesome libraries who have been approved to start clubs so far for the 2018-2019 school year. We're really excited about all of these clubs, and we're really excited to expand the clubs as well. So in a moment, I'm going to turn it over to Chantelle from Jessamine County Public Library to talk about it. But I have a few more minutes. I can answer some questions if they've come up right now before I do that. So if you have any questions, type on into the chat box. Let me know. I'll hang out for a minute, and then we'll turn it over to Chantelle.
Hey folks, this is Lauren Abner from KDLA. For anyone who joined the presentation a little bit later, we'd love to hear from folks. If you don't mind to share your name, title, and library system if you haven't already. We just kind of like to see what our geographic representation is today. Now is a great opportunity to ask Hannah questions if you are really sure about whether or not you can get a club started or how it works getting that support, when's a good time to, how far in advance do you need to work on putting together a club. So, please feel free to go ahead and type things in. We'll also have some more time at the end of the presentation after Chantelle shares about her library. So you'll still have another opportunity, and you can always reach out to Hannah afterwards. We'll make sure that you have her contact information if needed. Welcome to some of the other folks who have joined a little bit later.
Yeah, and those were some good logistic questions too. The turnaround for clubs is pretty quick. So once you apply, you should know within the week that you are approved, and then you will get information about how to attend training, and you can start your club whenever you like. So our clubs run through the academic school year. So if you want to start next week or if you want to start in January, those are all awesome. Deadline for application. So it's a rolling basis throughout the school year. We have people who start in the fall. We have people who go for a winter term. We have people who start after they get back from winter break in the spring. We have people who start in March. So as long as you feel like you'll have enough time to get through the curriculum, you are welcome to start whenever you like. You can see some examples of the curriculum. We have linked to some handouts that will help you see those. Good question about how much background you need in coding. 0. So we have some people, who have a lot of background who facilitate clubs, and we have some people who are parents who are just really excited to get this opportunity for their kids who have never coded before, and everyone in between. So we support facilitators both with training and with our club success specialist so that anyone can help facilitate a club. The great thing is that the girls will be working through online tutorials, so it's not like you're going to be standing up in front of a classroom trying to teach them how to code. What your job is to help them, get onto the system, help them problem solve if they run into trouble, help them with their project, help them form community, but you're not going to be quote unquote, teaching them the code. That's what the activities and tutorials are for. So most of our facilitators actually don't have coding experience and are able to model that bravery with the girls and try something new along with the girls. Good question.
All right, and Hannah, while we're waiting for another question to come in, I just wanted to maybe on behalf of other folks just ask so it's really clear that these clubs right now are for, during the school year, they are intended to be after school clubs because we know a lot of libraries are very involved in summer reading programming, but what is the full time period when support for these club activities is available during the school year?
Yeah, good question. Right, so for our clubs, we do support them through the academic school year and not over the summer at the moment, unfortunately. So basically through May or even early June is when we would want the clubs to launch. Good question.
Okay, well, it seems like we've taken care of the questions for now. If you think of something later, no worries, type it in the chat and we'll grab it at the end. I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Chantelle. Let me bring up her set of slides. Might take a moment for those to load. And Hannah, if you could go ahead and mute yourself. And Chantelle, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself, we can go ahead and get started with your portion. Take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, so I'm Chantelle. I'm the STEM Education Specialist at JCPL. And what exactly that means, I do all the different STEM programs, so science, technology, engineering, math, and I also add a little bit of art, so you could call me the STEAM Education Specialist. Any kind of audio or video classes, that's my main background. So when we first got into Girls Who Code, you know, I thought probably like you guys, oh, I don't know if I know anything about coding, but what I found is there's coding in everything that we do, you know, music and everything, so. We got approved to start a Girls Who Code club in December of last year, and I knew, you know, with it being halfway through the school year, I just wanted to do a mini club, just 10 sessions. So instead of starting in January, I took that whole month to help promote it in our newsletters at the library, but also with the school board, so that way I could reach middle and high school and tech schools in the community. And then I got like a lot of email and questions from other towns nearby to want to know if it's okay if they could come. And then after that, we began our sessions in February. So if you look at this slide, that was an example little newsletter that we made at the library to help promote it and just let everybody know that the journey begins February 1st. So we met 10 times. In February, we met 3 times, which was really helpful, and then in March twice, and then in April we took a little gap and waited till after spring break and got to meet 2 times, and so then for May we met 3 times, and I let the last one be our wrap-up, you know. Okay, I'm glad the audio's good. I'm looking over here at the conversations. So for this year, we just had our first meeting last Thursday. So we're going to do 15 sessions this year, and it runs from September 6th through May 23rd. And the time that we're meeting is 6:30 to 8. I found from just the other programs that I do, Thursdays is a very successful day, but then also it can get kind of tight with other team programming going on that day too, so I'm alternating a little bit where it's Thursdays and Mondays versus last year in the spring I stuck to only Thursdays. But 6:30 to 8 was the most popular time. I played around with different times like 5 o'clock and 6, and I believe there's a slide coming up where I'll tell you more about that. But basically 5 o'clock was too hard for all of the girls to get there, especially if they're homeschooled or traveling from Lexington to get to Jessamine County. So I pushed the time down a little later and had more success. And our club is for 6th through 12th grade.
Hi, Chantelle. This is Lauren. We had a question come in that might be good to address now. So the questions are, did you have the same girls each time at these sessions, and are they allowed to participate at each session, or are they on a waiting list?
Okay, so that was a very good question. I think I'm missing a slide when we updated this one. Whenever I first started it, like February 1st, and with the time being around 5 o'clock, we only had about 8 girls. So then, like I was saying, how I kept playing with the time and trying out 6 and then 6:30. I ended up going with 6:30 to 8, doing a 90-minute session. That seemed to be the most popular, where I ended up with a steady 16 girls. So out of that, yeah, once I reached my 16, it was the same girls every time. It's just it didn't start off with 16, so I always let it be open, because I did get questions about if somebody found out about it, you know, the 4th session in, could they still join? And I told them, yes, they can still join, and we'll get them caught up. And then also out of the ones that were there from the beginning through the end, there might have been times where they might have a sporting event or something like that. So as long as they cleared it with me ahead of time that they're going to miss this one, session or something, they knew what we were working on. And you'll see in a minute the format for the lessons. So once they got comfortable with HQ, sometimes like that, they would, if they knew they were going to miss, they would let me know, and they'd work on it from home. So yeah, I opened it up where people can join throughout the year, because I know sometimes word of mouth, can make a major difference where someone hears about it midway through, and so they always email me with questions as well to make sure that's okay. So at our first meeting, that was our welcome one, started February 1st. And I used the HQ definitely for the first meeting, and just it got an introduction to the club. They signed their club contracts, and then the HQ is really good because it has all these spotlight videos for each time that you meet. So that was nice to show them women in tech, and it also showed some things like I was telling you guys, where there was one video we watched where a girl had a wristband she designed, and she was able to make music using the wristband. So that helped the girls to visualize, oh, wow, I really can do coding, in different ways other than what they thought typically coding is. And then we started working a little bit about identifying a focus, and just they knew coming into this, they're basically going to design a project, build it, and then test it out. But they still didn't have an idea yet of what they wanted their project to be. And then so for the first meeting, and the second and third as well, I had girls from different age groups, some 6th graders, some 7th graders, some 8th, 9th, and up, coming from different schools. So a lot didn't know each other, and then some were homeschooled as well. So they were kind of shy at the beginning one. And, we definitely wanted this to be a safe environment. So I ended with an icebreaker game. And you can use any one that you like. The one that I chose for our first meeting, they all got in a circle. And I started off, and, I gave my name and told some things about myself, some interesting things, and then just something you might not know. And then, anyway, the more I kept talking and listening off things, whenever someone heard something that's similar to them, an interest that they have as well, they linked arms with me. And then we just kept going from there until by the end the whole circle was connected. And that was actually really good. So by the next time that they met, which was the next week, they already knew a little bit about each other, and they started bonding from there. So our next meeting was February 8th, and so on this one, they're exploring a little bit more, and they really got to try out the different programs from the HQ, Scratch, Khan Academy, which a lot of them were already familiar with Khan Academy from using it at school, Coasters, EarSketch, Quorum, and Thunkable. And at this point, I just wanted them to explore everything. I didn't want them feeling like if they pick Scratch, they have to stick with that one, for the rest of the time. I just wanted them trying out different things and seeing what they like. So I depended on the HQ, but I kind of got off from HQ a little bit, and as they were working, I ended up pulling up a spreadsheet and just brainstorming. We brainstormed together different things they were kind of into so far. So different one gave different ideas, like one girl was really into beauty, art, and TV, another one music, sports, animals, photography. And just from different things they were voting on, I try to see how some of that is similar. So you can see on the spreadsheet here how I color-coded it. So, beauty, animals, nature, dance, wildlife, hair, those seem to be more popular votes. And then what they were doing was actually working on their project theme without knowing it, just from talking to me. And then by the third meeting, February 22nd, I pulled back up that spreadsheet, and so from pulling up the different ideas that they had nominated and voted on, the theme they ended up settling on was nature, wildlife, animals. So from there, they were going to brainstorm ways they can implement that using games, animation, or any kind of education. So before getting into that, I took another moment for us to brainstorm and just think about popular games that they like that use animals, popular animations that have animals or wildlife or nature, and then some popular education or tutorials. So that helped them to visualize, based on what program they want to use, how they want theirs to look and be. And so then you see the little different programs that they can do from HQ there. And like I said, each one, before we even get into the brainstorming, we'd always start with a good spotlight video. And then, that second component, splitting themes into components, this is how I chose to do it, by having a spreadsheet and talking to them. It just seemed to help them open up more and not be shy and just talk. And I just type as they talk. And then the next time that we met was in March. So by this point, we're week 4, and this is the one that part of the lesson called wireframing. So pretty much by this time, the 4th meeting, I had more new girls now. So, I just took a moment to pause and backtrack and go back through what we've already did week 1 through 3. We're there for 90 minutes, so I took about 20 to 30 minutes to just get everybody caught up, and then the ones that have been there consistently help me, to, as leaders and showing what program they're working on, and just, getting everyone used to it. And that was probably the first one where I brought snacks in as well, just some light snacks, juice, animal crackers, cheese and cracker tray. But the girls began working in groups, because by that point they had already figured out what software they liked the best, and so I had them to start making a to-do list. So now you know your theme, you're working on designing it, building it, and then they know they're going to test it out once it gets to a good point. So they just make their to-do list, and then what they're working on doing, and then marking things done, once it gets done. At this point, no one was at the done stage. And so by meeting 4 and 5, now they're in the building stage. So that was March 29th. And then there was about a 2-week gap before we met again on April 12th because of spring break. So that was the point where a lot of people that were really into it, I didn't say they have to work on it from home, but a lot, really were into it and did start working on it from home, their projects. But there was enough time, by me giving them 90 minutes to work on it, there's enough time they could finish it if they didn't have time to work from home. But that's basically what they focused on from meeting 4 and 5. And if you notice, I put a drop of overlap in each meeting to accommodate for when there are going to be, new members that join. But just to look at this a little bit more, I put a spreadsheet up here that gives you an example about how many hours it takes, to learn coding through these programs. So for Scratch, it takes about 5 hours. Khan Academy, you want to devote about 5 hours total. Now, when I say 5 hours, I mean total through the whole, 10 sessions. Coasters, 6 hours. Ear Sketch, 6. And then Quorum's about 5.5, and then Thunkable can take about 7. So based on what theme they chose and then what they're into, if they're into fashion, digital art, storytelling, music, or games, or even, Android or iPhone development, that helped them to decide which program they like the best and to use.
Hey, Shannon, this is Lauren. We had a question come in a bit ago that might be good to address about now, where you were talking about the time period for sessions. So the question was, with the 10 mini sessions, is it necessary to have an hour and a half? Was that recommended by Girls Who Code, or is that something you determined as far as the length of each session?
Yes, it was recommended in my training whenever, the training that Hannah was mentioning that you go through to become a facilitator. It was recommended that you put 90 minutes. I think the minimum that you can do is 60, but if you're doing less, a lot of ones would meet more than once a week. And for me, with the other programs that we have at the library, I couldn't do more than, once per week of whatever week it is.
Okay, and an additional question, are the coding programs you use provided by the grant or as part of the club materials, or would these be purchased with library funds?
All of those, all the programs that I have listed, the Scratch, Khan Academy, Coasters, Ear Sketch, Quorum, and Thunkable, those were all through HQ. But what it does demand as facilitator, for example, Coasters, the girls that chose Coasters, I actually had to log into it because when you go into the HQ, there's links for all of it. And I actually needed to go into Coasters as facilitator, type in our club code, and actually make a password for the whole code. So she, for a week, was waiting on me because we didn't realize that, and so anyway, when I actually went in and explored it a little bit, then I made a password, and then she was able to link in with me. So it does require you to do a little bit of testing out each one. You don't have to know it all, but you do have to do a little bit of setup. I think all the other ones directly let them link in and make their own password, but Coasters needed me to do a step before she could use it. And then I'll tell you guys more, but she had mentioned about grants. Once we got up to about 16, I did end up applying for a grant, and we got the 500 grant, so I was able to use that for, you know, snacks for the club. And then at the end of the year celebration, I ended up ordering a gift for all of them, and I'll tell you what that is as I keep going with the slideshow. So by meeting 7, we were to the point of round robin, where we're actually testing out what they've been working on so far, and then the girls gave each other feedback on just any kind of things that were impressive, or if there's any snacks, like I don't think this really works yet. And you'll see some examples. I have a video of one of the first round robins in a little bit. You'll see that at the end of our slide. And so I just like alternated the snacks because, you know, people will get tired of animal crackers every time, so maybe popcorn this next time or a fruit tray. And so April 26th was meeting 7, the first round robin. And by there, like you can see, 2 different girls had settled on Khan Academy, 2 were working on music, 2 for Scratch, somebody doing storytelling. So it really helps if there is, you know, more than one working on the same program so that they can help each other if I'm, you know, helping a different one, or also if we have new people joining. Then on meeting 8, that's where they just looked at all the feedback that they were given from me and from each other and just started working on refining it. We always, like I said, continue with some more spotlight videos, and they had 90 minutes to work on their projects. So then by meeting 9, you're going to see a video and a little bit of a project that they did with Thunkable. But basically that was our final meeting where, or not our final meeting, but our final one where we're building, and I ended up giving them the end of the program survey and things like that. And then, so now I'll pause because Lauren is going to play some of those videos I was mentioning, and then we can do some more questions.
Okay, guys, I'm going to switch over to a screen share in order to show you these videos, so it will take a moment to get that started. And just to let you know, when I'm in screen share mode, I cannot see Adobe Connect. I can't see the chat area, so Hannah and Chantelle, you'll be in charge of watching you know, for those questions as they come in. So shall I go ahead and play the first video?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay, so you're doing Scratch. This is something fashion, dance, or something. Because you can make your little sprite. And then when I click on the next sector, it moves a little bit. So you can make it move left, right, or up, down. It doesn't move that much, but so if you make it move 10 steps forward, it doesn't move at all. It just and now, what's the other animation you're working with that's not on the HQ? So not right here, but not finished. Okay, walk me through that in case someone's interested in that. Basically, you start with a page and you draw something, and then you add another one. You can draw something else. And you keep adding pages, and it makes the animation. Yeah. So it's almost like Scratch is the back end, the coding part, and then what is this called? Flip Animal. So Flip Animal is the front end. Make an actual animation. Okay. Anything you want to say to Girls Who Code? Thank you.
Okay, that's video 1. I know the audio is kind of faint because these amazing girls are a little bit shy about talking about themselves. She did say thank you to Girls Who Code at the end. Chantelle, any comments before I queue up the meeting 7 video?
What I wanted to say was, as you noticed, the girls got really into it. They used the programs in HQ, but then they started branching out, finding other, software that's not provided on HQ, just other free sites and things that based on whatever they were into. So I like how they, like I said, I didn't require them to work on things from home or anything like that. They just really got into it and did extra.
So Flip Anim is a free program that they could use?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, well, let's try the Meeting 7 video.
I'm ready. I use this for English, which is the code here. And I did 2 amazing creatures. The one, the raccoons. I put habitat, what's it, the mat, their diet, their lifespan in a video that talks a little bit about them. Then you go to a moose, and it has a picture of the moose. And I created this using PicMonkey. I got it from Wikipedia, and then I rounded the edges, and then put the color in it using the code for colors. Then I did the red fox, and I put a video for the red fox jumping. It's from Discovery Channel. The brown bass, it tells you about how bass can land upside down, and these are the pictures are all from Wikipedia. And the great wolf, that's the one. It has, it's from Wikipedia, and I did all these in PicMonkey. The badger, it talks about badger facts, and the badger picture, it also talks about the badger from C.S. Lewis from the Chronicles of Narnia. The bobcat, these are baby bobcats, and talks about the video for bobcats in the prey when it gets a rabbit. The horned lizard, it can squirt water of its eye by pushing the pressure in its eye whenever the enemy strikes it. It can squirt it fly out of its eye. It's really cool. The cougar talks about a video about facts about the cougars, and it's a good video. The striping goldfish is up in the bottom of the sea, and they have, this is actually a little bacteria that from that, and it allows it to glow in the dark because it's so bottom in the ocean, there's no light. These are games you can go to it's from National Geographic Chance. You can play them. There's about 2. Then there's also videos from National Geographic that you can look at, and it's episodes you can look at, like the baby lizards. This is the classic books you can read, like Oliver Twist, Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Treasure Island, and Ben-Hur. And I created a map for each one of them. It's like a little board. It tells them where they live. Here's the Robinson Crusoe, Hero and Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and it tells you where each of them lives. And Robert Louis Stevenson, most of them live in England. Daily Wallace talks about him. Then you can go to what they look like. It's in Wikipedia for each one of them. And you can have a book, and it reads audio for you. And you can scroll the book as you can read the audio. There's also videos to each one with audio in a book, so you can read it. You can also put it in full screen, so you can read it. And there's about 4 of those, and there's a video that talks about each article. That's it for the computer. So this is week 7 of the round robin. About how many hours do you think it took you to build this?
I did some of it over spring break, and some of it when I had like free time after school. So this was probably 3 or 4 weeks too.
Okay, pretty
I
good.
don't really remember.
Go back to your original coding screen, like what it looked like internally.
This,
Yep, I'm going to zoom in on that. You have done amazing. Any feedback you want to give to Girls Who Code? Great job.
Okay, really impressive what she was able to accomplish. Any comments before we start the meeting 8 video, which I think is a little bit shorter. That was the longest video we have. So we're good. I'll go ahead and cue this one up.
So we're using ear sketch. Yes. And I started by searching for the sound. So let's go search for waves. Then you like when you click that and you save it. So you can look here and you search for under your name of your username. So then after you search your username, it pulls it up and then you copy it over into the Fit Media file and then you select where you want it to start and then you can do multiple ones. Nice. Anything you want to say about the program or a message to Girls Who Code? It tells me that it has over here, it has like how to do it, so it'll like show you what to do, and there's different lessons on it, and you can pull up some like structures, and it would show you how to do all the different things in it, and so it's like a manual on how to use your sketches, so that was helpful. Good job.
So what I want to say about that one, I love how creative each of them were, you know, so she wanted to make songs, and since the theme was nature, wildlife, animals, she took sounds of rain and things like that and made a song.
And that was really good, and I liked the references or at the end where she gave a shout out to the instructions for ear sketch that were provided as part of the access, I guess, through HQ. Let me go ahead and cue up the last video since we're getting close to the end of time.
So this app that you made is from Thunkable?
Yeah.
Okay. I use Thunkable. Okay, click on it. And that's what it gives you at the top. Nice. Animal facts. Now click on one of the animals. Really nice. I did those from PicMonkey. You did a great job.
Excellent. Well, there's our last video, so I'm going to end the screen share so we can get back to Chantel's last slide, and we'll have a few more questions and just some information to get us wrapped up. Go ahead, Chantelle.
So for our final meeting, it was just a celebration that we did on May 31st, and the students invited their parents, siblings to attend as well. And, you know, we ate more than the normal, like, snack. I added pizza and a few more things. And then they were presented with a take-home gift, and what I ended up ordering was Ozobots. I was torn between Raspberry Pi or Ozobots, but I went with Ozobots this round. And before, you know, giving them their gifts, we actually opened one up and had the students teach their parents and siblings coding. So we actually did one live, you know, with each other. And I am a little OCD, so when you order the Ozobots, it comes with, you know, all the different sheets, and it's colored up where you can color it with Sharpies. But I made copies on paper, and so live you can see how you got the computer paper versus the original sheet. And so they just practice using it, and just based on whatever colors you use or the different ways you mark it up, it can make the Ozobot go in reverse, speed up, turn left, turn right, stop. So it was really cool. And I just, one thing that the students already knew, but I also talked to the parents about, you know, is that I hope for the returning members that they'll be leaders, you know, for the new season, and they all said they wanted to.
That's so awesome. This is Hannah back again. Yeah, thank you so much, Chantelle, for sharing out. I think it's really clear to see how excited the girls were, and how Chantelle was really able to sort of spark their interest and curiosity that, you know, they were going home and doing this on their off time, right? It wasn't homework. It was something that they wanted to be doing, and how great that they could teach out to their parents and their friends, and have something to be really proud of at the end there. That's fabulous.
Excellent. This is Lauren. Do we have any more questions for Chantelle or Hannah? Well, we have a few more minutes. While anyone is typing in their questions, I'm going to go ahead and just bring up a last few slides. And we can hang out for a few minutes after the main presentation ends with the recording. That way, if you have additional questions, we can keep going. And of course, you'll be able to contact Hannah later. So just a few things to wrap up on KDLA's side. If you're not already a member of one of our listservs, there may be one that really suits your interest. We have the kayak listserv. Some people call it kayak instead. It's KYAC. That's for children's or youth services librarians. So you can email a couple different people to get signed up for that. If you work with technology at your library, you can join Kentucky Tech. You can contact me directly and I can get you signed up. My information's on the screen. Do want to make sure you guys are aware that coming up at the end of October, on October 29th and 30th, KDLA will be hosting a free youth services retreat. It's Kentucky Youth Librarians Liftoff, because we're really excited about next year's summer reading theme that will be at EKU, and you'll get to see the Hummel Planetarium. We have a lot of great programming, and Hannah from Girls Who Code will be there as one of the exhibitors and with a presentation. The deadline to register for this free conference is September 28th, so make sure you check our website for that information. And then just as our last slide, please make sure to take our survey after the presentation. You can actually click on that SurveyMonkey link and it will open in a browser for you. We need that information for our federal reporting since we are supported by the Institute of Museum and Library Services. That also helps us improve our training later. So, and we also have the files available for download in the lower left-hand corner in the Files pod, and you'll get this information after the recording as well. So let's see if any additional questions have come up. Let's see. All right, so a question from Shannon. If you have a question during one of your sessions, is there someone from Girls Who Code to answer immediately?
That's a good question. So the Club Success Specialist is going to be a great resource there. We can't guarantee immediately, but definitely, you know, before the next session, certainly, and oftentimes, hopefully available during the session, depending on when they're available. I also want to quickly talk about, there were some questions about getting access to the resources. So HQ is what we call our online platform. So like Chantelle said, that's where, you know, there's all the lesson guides, the activity sets, the Women in Tech spotlights, and it also does have the links to Codester, Khan Academy, or all those third-party places that we use in addition to the Girls Who Code tutorials as well. So that's all included. There's no cost to anything involved with the club's program, and that'll be available once the club is approved. Good question. Great. While we wait for more questions, I'll just say I'm really excited that I'll be at the Youth Services Retreat. So if you are headed that way, make sure to stop over. I have plenty of Girls Who Code stickers and pens, as well as, you know, more information, and if you have any questions, of course, as well.
Excellent, because we're glad to have you there, but we really know it's all about the swag at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll look forward to seeing you guys there as well. I'm sure we'll have plenty of KDLA staff around. And some folks from Jessamine County Public Library have been helping with the conference planning, so we really appreciate that. So in just a few moments, we'll be wrapping up the recording, but please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about Girls Who Code. Make sure that you have Hannah's direct contact information and a follow-up email. And thank you so much again to Hannah Simon Goldman from Girls Who Code, as well as Shantel Richardson from Jessamine County Public Library for sharing today. We really hope you found this information helpful, and have a lovely rest of the day.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much to Lauren and to KDLA for having us.